Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. I'm your host, Logan Royce Beitman. On today's program, I have with me Heidi Kettenring, who stars in the new Neil Diamond musical that's coming to Popejoy called A Beautiful Noise. We had a really great conversation about the musical, about two roles that she plays in it, how she got into Broadway musicals, and lots more. I hope that you enjoy.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And tell us about the musical.
Well, A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical, it is about Neil Diamond. The way that I see it and the way that I think that we all see it, I mean, it's basically a play that a musical sort of happens around. It's Neil Diamond. We have Neil now and Neil then. Neil now is Neil in the present. And Neil then is his memories of himself. And so Robert Westenberg plays Neil now, and he is in session with a therapist, basically to go back through his life to find out why he is where he is at this moment, which is sitting across from this therapist at his wife's, Katie's, behest. And it backs up through time, really to when he was about 15, 16 years old, up through the present, to find out why he has become who he has become. And so you have all of the stuff. You have this intimate, beautiful two-person play, and then you have giant rock concert moments, and you have you kind of have it all. It's so much fun. It's deeply moving. I find it very moving.
Yeah, and you play two roles.
I do.
So talk about that.
I play Ellie Greenwich, who was a singer, songwriter, record producer, and she basically discovered Neil Diamond. He came to the Brill Building to sell his songs, and she saw the potential in him, and then also saw the potential in him as a performer, and basically encouraged him to, stop giving all of his music away and to sing it himself. And then I also play Rose Diamond, his mom, in a sort of flashback moment.
Yeah, and I know this, when this has been done before, they've also had the same person play those roles. And is there any thematic connection between these two characters, or?
Yes, I think so. I mean, you have these two women who are not his wives. I mean, Neil Diamond was married, is currently married. He has is with his third wife. He's been married 3 times. But both of these women were huge influences on him and his in his passion for music. His mom was hugely encouraging of that, and Ellie, was just nothing but encouragement for him. And they actually started a company together. Forgive me, the name of which is escaping me right now. But it also just sort of timing wise, just in the just mathematically, it works beautifully in the structure of the play for the same person to do the same parts. And as an actor, it's thrilling because the two women are so different and so similar all at the same time. So finding a way to show the differences, but also at the core of them that they are these women who really bolstered him and gave him this encouragement. But there's also that the challenge of there is a moment in the show where I have this incredible quick change from one to the other. What I don't want is for somebody to go, wait a minute. So that's a really fun challenge for me.
Yeah, so you have to have other clothes on underneath or something, or you have a team of people.
I don't have any clothes on underneath, but I have a really amazing team of people helping me out. And what's fun about being on tour is it's different people literally every week. So we opened here. I'm in Seattle right now, and we opened to last night, and I literally met these people, and then 2.5 hours later, we were doing this quick change where, I mean, I change out of a dress, shoes, wig, and go into
Right.
another dress, shoes, and wig in about 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it's like for us, for the traveling team, it's like math, and for the local crew, it always impresses me how they're like they lock in and they're like, I got it, I got you. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I guess, yeah. So as an actor, how did you approach both roles? And I guess, I mean, did they remind you of people in your lives, and you brought those memories in, or kind of how did you kind of get into the character for both of the roles?
well, this play is so beautifully written, and for me personally, a lot of what I needed was literally right there on the page. I mean, I am an actor who I love to do all of the background. I, I was given from the company a beautiful dramaturgy packet of all of the history of these women, but I also did a lot of digging and looking on my own. Um, so a lot of it just literally comes from the words that I'm given. Um, and with them in particular, the way that they talk, the way that it's a very physical thing for me. It wasn't intentional. Like I didn't walk around the rehearsal room like trying to come up with a walk or a stance. But I have discovered over time that, one of them walks a little more upright and with like a little less alacrity, and another one and Rose is in my portrayal a little quicker, a little more driven that way. Um, so I would say mostly from the words that I was given. I mean, it's just a really fun, chewy play to be a part of. So I was helped incredibly by that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and is that something you've done before? Kind of you get into the kind of the physical gestures, mannerisms, walk and gait of and that becomes part of how you get into the characters, like in that kind of physical way.
Yeah, it's funny. I went to school at Northwestern, and it was all very like with the first year of theater school was a lot of like theater games, and we had to go to the zoo and watch animals and stuff like that. And I don't like do any of that anymore, but I think those building blocks are just sort of a part of me now. So I don't sit and think, well, in this way, she's like a bald eagle. Like that's not where I come from, but I know that that's like inherent in my makeup at this point. That even uh, with both of these women, one of the challenges is they're both New Yorkers. They both have a Brooklyn accent, and how do I so that doesn't help me as far as differentiating
Right.
them, so one of them, because her like Rose Diamond, the scene is very emotional, and it sort of just naturally started to pitch itself higher. And with Ellie, she knows what she's got going on, she's direct, she's quick, and it just sort of drops the timbre of my voice a little bit. So I didn't set out and write down in pen, like, your voice is going to be higher, but it just sort of, maybe because of the 30 or so years of going through this career with this foundation that I got at Northwestern, is just sort of in there. And so it helps me articulate it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I've never heard of that acting exercise where you go to the zoo and imitate the animals. That sounds fantastic. That sounds
Well,
like
it was so fun because Northwestern is in Evanston, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago, and there's a bunch of zoos, and there's a free zoo, the Lincoln Park Zoo. So one of our things was literally we all got on the train at various times. It was also fun for me. I had never been on the L before. It was my first time on the L, and I took the train all the way down to Lincoln Park, and I sat and I watched the bald eagle enclosure.
yeah.
And then, like, at the end of it, you had to find a scene where there was a character that you thought was similar to your animal. But that day in class was a trip.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. How did you get into acting? Well, and you do musical theater, so acting, singing, you're an all-around performer. How did you get into that?
Yeah, I kind of maybe think by accident. I mean, if you were to ask my dad, I was a very dramatic kid. I was always sort of singing, and like I was the kid with the book who would make up a story. I would like flip the page and it wasn't the story necessarily that was in the book because I couldn't read yet. Um, but I did my very first play when I was in the 4th grade. It was written by the nuns at my school,
Uh-huh.
where Little Orphan Annie and Oliver Twist meet and go on a journey. I played Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz in that play.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Very, very postmodern for the nuns, I guess, to put all
oh,
these
very.
characters
I mean,
together. Yeah.
Mary Poppins was in the play. It was like
Yeah.
all of these characters. So I guess my first play was when I was in the 4th grade, and then I just sort of I did it in high school, but then when I went to college, I actually started in the radio, TV, film department, but switched into theater. And then when I graduated from college, I didn't start auditioning right away because I was not the most confident.
Hmm.
And so I auditioned for my first professional job maybe when I was 23, and have been lucky enough to do it ever since. So, but my education in college was in classic theater, Shakespeare, Moliere, et cetera, et cetera. But my first show in an equity theater was a musical, and so I've been really lucky to be able to do sort of all the genres, which has been really a real gift.
Yeah, and you've done some, but you were Belle in Beauty and the Beast, right?
I was. Well, I was her understudy. I was the enchanted whisk broom.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
in the collection of magical creatures. I toured with that. Oh goodness, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, you've done a lot of things. What are some of your favorite roles you've had besides this one, these two, which
Well, I will say these are way up there. This is a real. I love every minute of this. But oh goodness, I was in Wicked in Chicago for 3 years. I got to play Nessa Rose in Wicked for a long time, which was
yeah.
just a dream. Playing Eleanor Dashwood in a production of Sense and Sensibility, I would say, was a highlight for me. And Joe March in Little Women. I love a strong counter heroine situation.
Sure. Yeah.
I've been really lucky to have played a lot of really, really strong, wonderful women.
Yeah, and it seems like these characters are strong as well. I mean, they're kind of, they're like supporting the male star, and but it seems like, they have their own lives and their own and I don't know, yeah, kind of maybe talk about how you see them in relation to other sort of strong women characters. Are they strong?
Absolutely. I mean, Ellie, for even just the entrance, my first entrance into the play is a thrill because she's on a mission. She's got her cup of coffee and her watch, and she is late. Or not late. I actually don't consider that she's late, but she is a woman on a schedule, and Neil stops her. And what I love about her and portraying her is that she does discover him and push him into the spotlight, but it's not just because he's the man and he wants to push him forward. She sees his potential and the strength behind that. The strength of her ability to see that in him. And even, in that particular scene, she doesn't have very much time. So she's like, okay, fine, I'm going to give you a chance, but you have 2 minutes. And if you can't do it in 2 minutes, then we're going to end this. And it's brilliant on many levels, not the least of which she knows the strength of saying, hurry up and do it. And it causes him to go, okay. And then he plays the song that it's so thrilling to hear the audience every night go, oh my God, he wrote that song? Because this particular moment is not a song that he made famous. It's a song that is famous that he wrote.
Which song are we?
Am I at liberty to say?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm okay.
I'm gonna actually leave that for the Albuquerque audiences to.
Right.
So when they can see it, they can go, oh my God.
Yeah.
There's a handful of them in this, we call it the demo medley. It's when he's sort of selling playing his songs and deciding who's missing them. And one after the other, you go, he wrote that? He wrote that?
Well, let me say, because when I was looking at the songs, I was surprised because there was one that I was like, oh, I thought that was the Monkees. I thought this was
the one I'm talking about.
Anyway, but I think, a lot of people, including myself, didn't realize he was really like a songwriter for other people before he became sort of a star on his own.
Yeah, he was a poet and a songwriter. And, um, you know, I have this really sort of wonderful speech where I basically say, you're going to sing and record your own songs. Because there was nobody at the time that sounded like that. The quote is, uh, gravel, gravel wrapped in velvet,
Mhm.
like you just woke up and tripped over an ashtray. Um, and it really was. When you go back and listen to him, he has this beautiful, smooth voice that then all of a sudden it sounds like you're, driving over a driveway made out of shells. It's like
Right.
crunchy and fantastic, and then it smooths out. Um, and also, when you really listen to his lyrics, they are so poetic and beautiful. Um, he really was continues to be a very deep, soulful human, and the words that poured out of him into these songs is a real thrill. And to be able to play these women who, yes, they were, behind him, but they were behind him by choice. It wasn't like a well, he's the man, he's going to step forward. They were both fiercely strong women. I mean, Rose Diamond lived to be 100 years old and
Yeah.
was a a, like a life force for him that entire time.
Yeah, yeah. Were you always a Neil Diamond fan?
Was.
Yeah.
I was in when The Jazz Singer came out, I was about 7, and I never saw the movie, but the song America was on Top 40 radio, and I was a big Top 40 radio kid. Casey Kasem and American
Yeah,
Top 40,
yeah.
And so I don't remember exactly how old I was, but my dad allowed me to join the Columbia House record. Do you remember this whole thing where you could
I
get
do. I'm old enough. I remember this. You sign up for it, and every month they send you an album in the mail or a couple. I don't remember how many. And
Yes,
yeah,
when you first sign up, you got like it was almost like a catalog
yeah.
and stamps, and you could pick 10 of them for 1 penny.
Uh-huh.
And so my first collection of 10 was Hooked on Classics, Alabama Greatest Hits, and Neil Diamond's The Jazz Singer was in that original 10. So I was a fan from a young age, but like of his like greatest hits stuff.
Mhm.
And then I had a friend in college who was very, very into Neil Diamond. And so through him, I got to know a couple of more of the songs that are in this show that I wouldn't have been familiar with without him, like Shiloh and Suleiman. And um, oh my gosh, Crunchy Granola Sweet is one of my favorites. But yeah,
Mhm.
really since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah. No. So that must be really exciting now to be in this production.
It's truly a full circle moment because you can tell there are people in our show who have become huge Neil Diamond fans, but had never heard really a Neil Diamond song, maybe except for Sweet Caroline before
Right.
they started. And there's a handful of us who, you know, this is like this truly was. I saw it on Broadway because a dear friend of mine actually originated this part. So I knew that I was going to have a ball because I love the music. And what I did not realize is that I was going to be as moved as I was. So when I was cast, it was very, very moving for me to know that I was going to get to be in this play.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. It seems like Neil Diamond is having a moment now. There's also this big movie out with Hugh Jackman that's I guess not about him, but like a Neil Diamond impersonator. But
Yes.
still, and I wonder, what do you think it is? Why is Neil Diamond? I mean, I think people have always loved music, and but it's kind of like it seems like he's having a sort of resurgence at the moment. Is it what do you think accounts for that?
I don't know other than like I like to think that maybe the movie is even and I don't know this to be true, but because of the musical's success, I mean, it started what 3-4 years ago on Broadway or
Right.
and an out of town tryout in Boston. Um, but he can't play or sing anymore because of his illness, but he is still this vital human being. And he's like, as we talk about a lot in the play, like he sort of thrives in work. and in the feeling that he gets in writing music and talking about music. And I even think the creation of this musical, I've never been talked directly about this, but I feel like I'm correct in saying that this is something that people had been coming to Neil Diamond for a long time about. Your story is beautiful for a musical. We have the Jersey Boys. We have beautiful. And he was like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. And when he got into therapy because of his wife, I think that was the moment where he went, this is actually this is a great way to tell my story. And with Song Sung Blue, the movie, which we actually all went as a company on Christmas Day to see, which is really, really fun.
Uh-huh.
It's another continuation of a way for him to be a part of this thing that he has created for so long that he can't physically be an active participant in anymore because he can't play or perform. So that's my dime store psychology about it. But I also just think what's so fun about being on stage with this is when we feel the audience's response to his songs. I mean, he was at the height of his career. I mean, he was bigger than Elvis. He was, we talk about that in the play. He surpassed Elvis in arena concert stuff. So this is a
Yeah.
person who has and continues to have this worldwide, people just actively love his music. So it's just thrilling to me that for him, and quite frankly for all of us, that there is all of this focus and energy continuing to be on him and his legacy.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that you learned about him that surprised you or you didn't know about before you started into this?
Quite a bit. I mean, it's always interesting to me because I think a lot of performers share this, that he struggled and continues to struggle with depression, and an insecurity and a shyness and a quietness. I think there is a common thread with a lot of performers that the thought to the outside world is that we are all very outgoing, very gregarious, love the spotlight, love talking. And quite frankly, most of the ones that I've encountered, it's the opposite, that performing is an outlet to become, even if you're Neil Diamond and you are performing as Neil Diamond. Like for me personally, I talk about it as there's capital H Heidi and then there's lowercase h Heidi. And when I have to step outside of the stage door and there are people wanting my autograph, I have to put the capital H in front of my name and become that person. But inside, I'm just lowercase Heidi, and I want to go read my book and sit in my room, and that's where my comfort is. So finding that out, even as a performer, about a megawatt superstar, that the second he is off the stage, he kind of would recede into, he calls it the clouds roll in, was fascinating to me. And learning how lonely that makes him, even when he is surrounded by millions and millions of people who love him, that he can feel so solitary and so alone. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and I've heard that from a lot of performers that sometimes you wouldn't expect, you know? I find that really fascinating. And it sounds, I mean, you were talking earlier about how, you didn't audition right away out of college because you were maybe lacking confidence, And I'm wondering kind of like, how did you overcome that, especially if you are a more introverted person?
Actually, he's now my husband, but I met someone. Well, actually, I guess I had already started auditioning by the time I met my husband, but um, there was a lot of encouragement from friends of mine who were like, you don't, first of all, you don't see what we see, but also it was the auditioning process that was my hurdle that I needed to get over. And something that my husband, when I met him in a show, said to me, he was like, auditioning is just your opportunity to be an actor that day.
Mm.
Everybody looks at it because technically it is. You're trying to get a job. It's an interview. Um, but everybody looks at it as a test and that it's something that you're set up to fail. And if you can look at it as the opposite of that, the people who are auditioning for whatever it is that the people who are hiring, they want you to be the answer to their problem as much as you want to be the answer to their problem. So if you can, if I do all of the work, I love the work. I love a rehearsal room. I love looking through a script and doing script analysis and working on a song. Um, so if I do all of that work to the best of my ability, if I don't get the job, this is what he said to me. If you don't get the job, it's not that you've done everything that you can. It's not a personal affront to you. It's just you didn't fit the bill that day. But if you look at it as, well, I'm looking at my day, I have the day ahead of me, and I get to go for 30 minutes, even 10 minutes, 5 minutes into a room and do what I love to do, even if it's I'm being judged by it. Don't think of it that way. Think of it as you get to go do that today.
Yeah.
And that was really beautiful advice for me because it really did change the game of like, if you love doing it, kind of who cares if you're good at it? Was that in that moment, he was like, trust me when I say you are good at it. I can see that you're good at it. But even if you're not good in that moment, if you love doing it, go and love doing it. And hopefully they'll see that from you. And, you know, and if it doesn't work out, eventually maybe you can find something else to do, but at least try, you
Yeah.
know? So I did. And like anything else, like training for a marathon or learning how to, do quantum physics, you have to practice, you have to learn, you have to study, and if you love it enough, and I feel like I just needed somebody to remind me, you love it enough. You just are too in your head about, oh, do I sound right? Do I look right? He was like, that doesn't matter. You know, it matters if you do the work and you try to make it as good as you can. But also, if you love it, go for it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, and that might be useful for people listening if they're actors out there. I think the idea of thinking about the audition, because it can be really, really intimidating, more than just a regular job interview. Because normally, if I have a job interview, I'm not seeing all the other candidates lined up in
Exactly.
in chairs outside. Who
Yeah.
all look like me. Um,
Exactly. Plus, we're
and
also constantly doing it. Like
yeah,
I'm out on this beautiful tour that is, 9 months of my life, but I have self-tape stuff in my trunk because I still have to get jobs for when this is over. We're
yeah,
constantly doing it. And you're right. You walk into a room and there they all are. And
right.
it's, of course, you look at somebody and go, well, I'd hire her. She looks perfect.
uh,
Um,
Yeah, but thinking of it as like this is an opportunity to perform, and I love performing, so let me perform. And then it's like, even the people that are auditioning you, maybe you're not right for this part, but they'll remember you. They're like, "Oh, she's a good performer," and then they'll see you again, and I think that's part of it too, right?
Oh, that's it exactly. I often have conversations with people where they're like, "You went in for that? That's not a that's I wouldn't have cast you in that." I'm like, "Neither would I, but I know that those people are casting X, Y, and Z later on, and I'm going to go in and do hopefully a really good job for this, even though I'm not necessarily right for it, and hopefully they'll remember that." I mean, this show actually is a perfect example of that. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but 20 oh my gosh, 20 years ago, I auditioned for the national tour of Thoroughly Modern Millie, directed by
Uh-huh.
Michael Mayer. And uh, the casting person had seen me in a production of Funny Girl and was like, you need to see this woman. She'd be great. Well, Fanny Bryce in this production did not dance. I am not a dancer. And Millie Dillmount in that production was a dancer. So, I did everything really, really well, but there was no way I was gonna end up in that show because she had to be a dancer, and I remember watching the Broadway show the night before the audition going, "Oh, no. Well, I'm not gonna get this part." But, I'm going to go in there and do the best that I can. And 20 years later, I auditioned for him. And my hope is that way in the back of his head, he was like, she was so good at that, and confidently came in knowing there was literally no way she was going to get this job. Because I didn't. I flew to New York not knowing that the part was a dancer. And I went to see the show the night before and was like, oh, well, what a waste of my time and money this was. Oh, and there was a hole I threw up there's a whole story for another day. I was so nervous. But I also was like, I flew all the way to New York for this. And I get to sing Gimme Gimme in front of Janine Tesori. I'm going to do the best that I can. And I do believe that 20 years later, I got a job because I did everything that I could do that excellently. And then the dancing I did to the best of my ability.
Sure.
Very poorly.
Yeah. But it wasn't a waste of your time if it, led to this, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes we have no idea the things we do, the consequences, or what it might open up for us later on,
Exactly.
So I guess you just have to keep showing up.
Yeah. If it's something that you are passionate about and you love doing it, you show up. You show up until you make the decision, maybe I don't want to show up anymore, and that's okay too. But for me, I'm just so glad that I had the encouragement when I was about 23 to get back into the game when I was 24. And, 27 years later, here we are.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And now you're playing roles of people who are encouraging, Neil Diamond. I mean, that we all need people encouraging us in our lives, I think, right?
That's it, exactly. Thank goodness for the people who encourage us and inspire us, and just have their hand on the small of our back to let us know, I've got you. I am right here with you, and I want and go forward in this.
Well, I think that's a beautiful message. And before we go, is there anything else you think people should know if they're thinking about coming out to the musical?
I do. I think that there are people who maybe wouldn't come because they don't know Neil Diamond's music, or they think they don't like Neil Diamond's music, or that it's just a concert of Neil Diamond's music. I encourage everybody to come because my family, for example, when they came, some of them go see musicals all the time. Some of them don't go to any. And and I can tell when my family is lying, when they're like, it was good. They all loved it so much, because I think there's something, it sounds like something everybody would say, but there's something for everybody. I mean, you've got these beautiful scenes talking about our inner workings and our inner feelings. And then you literally have moments where he is in concert. Like, it just sort of, what I did not expect when I saw it on Broadway was the cathartic cry that I had when it was over. I did not anticipate that. And a friend of mine who kind of knew that he was going to get that didn't realize that he was on his feet at the end of the play singing Sweet Caroline with us. He was like, I didn't think I liked Neil Diamond music. And I was on my feet doing the choreography with you guys when it was over. I just think that, I'm only 3 months in, but I'm 3 months in and I still get a thrill. I stand stage right 10 minutes before I need to go on stage because I want to watch the opening number of the show every night.
Yeah.
That's not a regular occurrence in my career,
Right.
But I anticipate that I will be doing that for the remainder of this run, standing stage right and watching that company and Nick Fradiani downstage in front of everybody singing America. It's thrilling to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm convinced, and I'm excited to see it. So, thank you again. This has been really wonderful speaking with you today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.